Mr. Ojwang, who should foot the bill?
Who should foot the bill? Most likely, let's assume the person being deported is not able or willing in most cases. Some countries have tried to even sell their things in order to recover that money. Remember, again, constitution, due process. Even if they're illegal, they might still have a right to property. What countries sometimes do is to contact their embassy and have their embassy buy the ticket, because if they bear that passport, for example, if they bear the British passport, then it means they are British citizens, and that passport is the basis they are being admitted, and by that passport it comes from that state, meaning I'm going to serve you and treat you on behalf of your state. So if I call a British embassy, for example, and tell them we have your citizen here, we want you to buy a ticket for them. And then the embassy should be able to buy the ticket, assuming they cooperate. And then once this person, this illegal alien, get back to Britain, then Britain will now have a better chance of recovering that money from them, including putting them in a local jail, including knowing their address and demanding for them to pay. Because once you have removed them, you are not going to have a debt collector down wherever they are going to follow it up. But immigration becomes so complicated because until Matiang'i have a system proven, that is why he's trying a two-pronged approach, where he's saying you don't come in until you have your papers ready. Unless a lot of people will now not declare that I'm coming to work, they will come with other status. But because if your border is porous, or if people can just come in and then you are doing, you are working so hard to mop them out, then they come back in, and then you mop them out, and then they come back in. It is possible, because once somebody is an alien here, they also have networks, they have friends, they have, they kind of know the system. Some might have been here for so long, but they are invisible, but they know the system, so they are able to do that. But I'm concerned, because then we are going to face the same situation that Donald Trump is facing in the U.S. This illegal immigrant, the fact that they are here as in their illegal status, they are able also to give back. The Constitution is obviously any Kenyan, if you are born in Kenya, and we have that presumption that any child at the age of, is it 2 or 3, will be automatically assumed to be a Kenyan, presumed to be a Kenyan citizen. So this person have now a child. Are you going to leave this child who is a Kenyan citizen, or you are going to also deport them if our citizenship is based on you were born here, therefore you become a citizen? And so it becomes complicated. And that is why it is very hard to expect lay people and not to enforce or to help enforce, because it's a very fluid process. Somebody came through F1, let's say, or a student visa, they have overstayed their visa, and I've seen this situation. I had somebody who went to the bank, their visa had expired. But does that mean they're illegal? As long as they're still going to school? Does it mean that, because visa is for entry, does it mean that if you saw my visa and my visa expired last year, therefore I am illegal immigrant in Kenya? But I had a visa to come into school, and I'm still going to school and have not violated that status. So it is very complicated that you can't trust a local person to enforce.
So we spend 360 million shillings annually. That is a lot of money. Money that can be used for something else.
Or even for corruption.
Those are your sentiments. But 360 million shillings,
that's a
lot of money that can be channeled to, fund different projects in the country. And so the cabinet secretary says he's seeking to change the law to have illegal immigrants, pay for their deportation. But what happens if in case I'm an illegal, immigrant and I'm not able to, raise money for my own air ticket? What happens? Should I be taken to jail and work in jail? And for how long probably will I work until I raise the money for my air ticket?
Right. Some countries have creative ways. For example, they have tried to work these people. If an air ticket to South Africa is, let's say, 100,000, if you detain this person for 10 months working, assuming they're in jail, you have convicted them of being illegal, but now they're raising money for their ticket. It gets complicated because I might now you are employee or temporary employee. Do you give me a temporary status for the time being so that I can now get a job, but then you recover the money for your ticket? Countries like US have tried different methods. For example, there is a time that when you are detained, you'll find them working at the airport and wherever. But usually whatever you do is not enough. Your country should pick the bill. But if the country is also not able and you are not able, then you find there is also a race against time. So the longer this person stay, and with our corrupt system, the easier, no sooner do they stay, no sooner will they disappear again. So it is a race against time that once I've grabbed you, I'm supposed to deport you as soon as possible before you find some creative ways of legal battles and still engaging. What people do, I'm sorry, I'm retracting this, but what people do is, if you have started deporting me, then I say, you know what? I'm afraid to go back to my country because I'll be tortured.
So what should happen in that kind of a situation?
Yeah, and according to international law, you cannot take somebody back to where they can be tortured. So you have to establish my status. In the process, that will take so long. So you are stuck with this person because if I say, okay, actually I'm here, I didn't register as a refugee, but you know what? I was running for my life. Then you can't just take me and dump me back in a country, let's say in Somalia, if the war is going on, because you will have violated my right of returning me to a dangerous place. So that will throw will throw everything again off the track. In the US, for example, people have used that. And then because if I claim that, then it's up to you to verify that I'm lying or but you have to listen to it because you are not allowed, according to the Convention against Torture, according to the Convention on Refugee, to grab me and throw me back to the challenge that I had.
Now let's cross over to this discussion of illegal foreigners taking jobs that can be done by Kenyans. And that is something that even the Interior CS raised. He raised concern about it like last month when he was saying...
When he went to Nyayo.
When he went to Nyayo House. And he was saying that jobs that can be done by Kenyans, why should you give a foreigner a work permit? And so it means that there are so many Kenyans who are not having jobs because people who are not supposed to have those jobs are being given.
Yeah, you see, I'm smiling to that because every country, when they are faced with challenges, guess the weakest link? We have problem because of immigrants, illegal immigrants. So it has become also a government ploy of not addressing youth unemployment, not addressing inequality, even in US. And so when you are preoccupied hating the immigrants, you let the government go, that you give taxes that is not really taking care of you. And so that has been a general ploy by different, even in the US. When things are tight, guess what the government is going to do? It's these immigrants. And immediately, government is not required to do anything, and people turn their hatred towards immigrants. And I'm saying this, that it could be an oversimplification, that we don't have jobs because immigrants have taken our jobs. Because you know that in every statistics, even the conservative number shows up to 30–40% of youth are unemployed who are qualified. And we are only talking of, I don't know, a few 100,000, if at all, of illegal immigrants. So that will not resolve our unemployment problem.
But if it won't solve
it might dent it a little bit. And so there is validity that there's a few jobs that are taken by migrants that could be whatever. The place for that, remember the people arrested there, I don't think they go for work visa and work permit. Those are informal. These then are those jobs I was talking about. These jobs and these people will always find their way. These are the people who can sit behind a corrupt immigrant officer and have papers. Those papers, therefore, is what we are looking for, is papers. Because I wish they could be going beyond papers. Because if I have a means, and if I need a job that is going to make 1 million in Kenya, and I will bribe, I will find my way, I will get those papers, but at the same time, I've still taken that job from well-serving Kenya. And
you, at the end of the day, you'll have the job. But one
with
question,
papers.
With papers.
Yeah.
But now let's look at an incident where an employer employs a foreigner, an illegal immigrant. And of course, it means this person doesn't have a work permit. So then it means the government also needs to crack the whip on companies who have employees who don't have legal permits, work permits, because that means they're also evading tax.
They're evading tax. They are evading Kenyans of jobs. You see, one of the challenges that Nairobi is the headquarters of UN. And we have a lot of international organizations. So in the process, I think we are not very tight. Even if it is UN, we can't do much because that is UN. But even with this international organization, we have ceded so much. Even with the civil society, we have ceded so much. But you are right that if I'm an employer, on what basis am I employing you? And this will now require a lot of regulations. And that regulation, for example, in the US, you get what is called social security number. And that social security number, everybody will get it, even students. But it will show not authorized to work. And if it shows not authorized to work, then employer is not supposed to employ you. Because as a mere employer, I could also say, how do you expect me to know? This person now speaks Swahili. I've met this person. Do you want me to check the ID? Maybe. And that could be one way. So if then I'm supposed to, which I think they should, that before you employ somebody, you must determine their immigration status. Are you a Kenyan? If you are not a Kenyan, then produce ABCD, produce your work permit and all that. If not, then you shouldn't be employed. Or the employer will be fined, sorry. And that is what is happening, because you have to put carrot and stick. If it doesn't cost me anything, if it is voluntarism, then it might be in a favor of employer to employ this foreigner who I can remove and whatever at my expense. But if then you fine me, then I will be very careful as an employer, because I don't want to be fined.
Thank you so much, Dr. Duncan Ojwang, Dean Faculty of Law at the African Nazarene University, is also an immigration law expert. He has been giving us an in-depth explanation when it comes to the crackdown on aliens. And remember, Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i issued a 60-day ultimatum on all foreigners in the country, and just to ensure that they have the right documents, whether it is work permit, whether they want to work in Kenya, or whether they want to stay in Kenya. So it is a story that we continue keeping a keen eye on. And